Hello and welcome. We've got a lot of information to cover today, and what a question you might like to ask yourself is, what do you need to get out of this? We're going to start by showing you quickly how you can actually use this information. So what we're going to talk about first is we just had a new moon a few days ago. And so what a new moon is when you have the sun conjunct the moon. It's a time for you to set intentions. And the whole point of it is there'll be an area in your life that you need to set these intentions for. When the sun conjuncts the moon, it's your conscious mind and your subconscious mind coming together. Your conscious mind makes the plan and your subconscious mind gets you what you want. Now, again, so you can understand how to make this plan, if each of these circles is a month, you have a new moon, goes to a full moon, and back to a new moon, and that is one cycle. 6 cycles later, you find that whatever plan you made here is going to come out as a full moon at that time. So you're going to see results from this cycle and again 6 months later. So that's how you want to plan. Now there's 8 phases here, and this isn't about teaching you about the moon. It's just that what happens here is you get ready for a new idea, you start, you make your idea, you decide what it is that you're going to deal with, you make your plan. At the full moon, your idea comes out of the light and everybody can see what's going on, and it comes out of the darkness rather. And so once it reaches the full moon, you're going to find that your plan is going to change somewhat and you're going to have to be adaptable. But at this point, this is the planning stage, this is the implementing stage, and then your plan will move forward from here. Now when you get to this last phase, it's time to let go. You can't force that anymore. It's time to let go and get ready for another start. Okay, so this is basically just a picture of the aspects for this week. This is another way to look at it. Now, the most important takeaway you're going to get out of this is that there's a bowl pattern here. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you there's a lot of stuff missing. Okay, so what's important this month is more what's missing than not what you're looking at. So you're going to find that people are very focused in certain areas and just totally oblivious to other things. Okay, so that's basically what I'm pointing out here. And there are 4 quadrants. So there's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's 2 halves, okay? So you got the eastern half and the western half. Now what I want you to see here is that here's Aries Rising. So this is the first one we're going to go into. But what do you notice? The most important thing about this 2 weeks is the fact that there are no planets in half of the chart. So what's happening? Well, people are really focused. And as you can see here with Aries Rising, it's in the 4th quadrant, okay? And you're going to see that these planets move around to different quadrants relative to where your chart starts. And that is your rising sign. You see, when you look at Taurus, it moves around, and by the time you get to Cancer, you can see that you've got all your planets in a totally different quadrant. So what are you going to get out of this? You're going to get out of the fact that although the planets are the same, people's focus is going to be different. So when you go to talk to somebody, if they don't have your focus, that's because they got their own focus. You have to use that information to get you what you want, to make your plan work. Okay, so now we're going to go into Aries Rising here. So what you notice here is there's a couple of aspects to focus on. So this is on the 27th, and that's when this reading starts for the week of the 27th. So the new moon has just happened a few days ago. That's the moon conjunct the sun by the 27th here. You should have started to develop a plan, and in this case the plan is going to deal with the 11th house for Aries. The 11th house is money from work, social media, those kind of things. Now, there's the plan, and there's also the major aspect for this week, and that is Uranus. And Uranus is going to square the sun. And so, what is Uranus? Well, it's sudden unexpected circumstances. Now, Uranus rules Aries' 11th house of money from your work, social media, and friends. And so those things are going to be a little bit strained because this is a square aspect. And so this rules money from your work, and Uranus is in your second house in Taurus of your money and possessions. Now, Aries likes to be very secure. Well, there's no security here with Uranus. So like I said, friends or and other circumstances can really affect your possessions and your money this week. So you want to have made that plan, and you want to be able to actually adapt to changing circumstances. That's really what this is all about. So your takeaway, Aries, is you're going to make a financial plan. You are going to expect it to change radically. It could involve your friends and social media, and you need to be adaptable. Now, Taurus. Okay, Taurus. Well, Taurus Rising, they're an earth sign. They look for security. And guess what? There is no security when you got Uranus and Taurus right on your ascendant. So you got to flow with the punches. So the aspects are the same, but the places are different. The house placements, which means that the areas in a person's life are different that are affected for Taurus and Aries. But nevertheless, okay, they had their new moon in their 10th house. That's their 10th house of career. They're making career plans. The moon is moving along, and they are finding that this is the 1-4-7-10, which is you and your health, which is your marriage partner, which is your home, and your career can all be affected in the sense that you got to flow with the punches here. There can be unexpected circumstances that arrive in all those things. So Gemini, you got it lucky. Basically, Uranus is in your 12th house, and that's a cadent house, and it's behind the scenes. And so really, this kind of stuff is not coming out in the open for you yet, and so it's not really that big of a concern. Your new moon is in your 9th house of values, so you may think of things in a more detached way, making a plan to look at some of your values. You may be interested in taking a trip or a course, but basically, as far as this stuff goes, you've got it pretty good. Now, as far as Cancer goes, as I showed you in the beginning, okay, we have a totally different focus here. Okay, so the lower part here does deal with what you have in control, what you control. This stuff is all outside of your control. And in this quadrant, this is your marriage partner, business partner, it's debt, and other people's money, and it's your values or courses or training. Now, actually mostly courses and long distance study, really. So this is the kind of focus that you have. Now, where's Uranus? Okay, so Uranus for you is in your 11th house. The 11th house is money from work. It is your friends. It's social media. It's the internet. Okay, so you could actually be dealing with some strange friends who have different ideas than you do. And of course, you've been actually dealing with that for a while. the point is that it's going to square your sun. So as that happens, these friends are you're going to have to learn how to deal with these different and new ideas. Okay, so that's really what you need to focus on. You need to be adaptable, and that's what you need to be adaptable about. Now, when we get to Leo, we're starting to get some of these planets dropping below the horizon here. Okay, so your focus is starting to then move to yourself and not so much to the outside. Now, the sun and the moon were in your 7th house. That's where the plan was for this month. And it deals with, like I say, partnerships, whether they're business or marriage. So that's what you've been thinking about, and that's what you've been focusing on. Now, the heavies, Pluto and Saturn, have now gone into your 6th house. Okay, Leo, you need to start to be able to take care of yourself, because this is the 6th house of health. That's also rules work that you have to get done, not so much necessarily a career, but it's different jobs that you do. And so, like I said, you actually have to be careful about looking after yourself. Where's Uranus? It's right in your 10th house. Okay, so your career is going to be interesting. As I said before, Leo's like a very safe and secure career, and Uranus is going to be anything but safe and secure. So you need to be able to handle changes. And Uranus rules the 7th house of partners, and that, like I said, that can be your wife or your business partner, and they're going to have a lot of different ideas on how they think things should go. And so those are some of the things you're going to need to adapt to, plus keep your eye on your health. Now, Virgo rising, as you can see, even more planets are starting to come into below the horizon. So what we see here is the sun is in your 6th house, and you have a lot more vitality. That's good for you. Now, Venus and and Neptune have come into your 7th house. So actually, and they're in Pisces, you could have a very good time with romance because of this. You can be a little bit idealistic, and especially with the moon. So there's a lot of emotion here, and it's all pleasant. And just remember that Neptune can cause you to be a little bit idealistic and look through rose-colored glasses at these things, but you'll be enjoying yourself. And then eventually the moon and Venus will actually keep on moving, and Neptune will be left in the 7th house. So that being said, when you're looking at partners in any way, you kind of have to do your best to actually every once in a while look at reality. But that being said, enjoy yourself, enjoy the emotion. It's all good. So as I mentioned here, this is very good for your health. And in this case, for you, your 6th house of health ruler is Uranus, and it's in a Caden house, so it's behind the scenes. You have way less stress than anybody else, so you have good vitality and less stress. So yes, you may have a few things come up unexpected, but life is fairly in control for you. Now, what would happen here is that Saturn and Pluto actually have been in your, let's see, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th house. Okay, so 5th house. That rules children, that rules romance, and speculation and hobbies. That's the area where you've had some difficult decisions to make over the last year. But basically, as I said, you're actually kind of focusing on making a plan for your health, and your vitality is pretty darn good. Okay, here we go with Libra. Now, as you can see, all right, just about every planet is now in this quadrant. Well, what is this quadrant? This is when it's personally you, like when you're a baby. It's you, your money, and your environment. Okay, so now we start to include other people that are in your environment. This is your home life, this is your children, and this is your health. Okay, so this is the quadrant you're going to be focusing on. And unless you have planets in your natal chart here, this is the focus you will have. And just remember, people who have focus in a different quadrant, they're just not going to be the same as you. They're not going to be looking at the same things. They're not going to be interested in the same things. So an interesting thing to do would be to find out what sun sign these people have, and just come back to this video and have a look and see how this can work out for you. You can see what their focus is, and if you have to deal with them, then you can deal with it on their level. Okay, here we have Scorpio. Now, this is, again, kind of interesting. What we have here that really shows up is Uranus in the 7th house. And it is basically on the descendant across from the ascendant, meaning that partnerships, romantic partnerships and business partnerships are definitely going to be changing. They could be breaking up, and this is something that will be more accentuated with this aspect. We've got the Sun squared Uranus, and so, as I said previously, it's in Taurus. So when it comes to romantic relationships, you like safety and security, and this is definitely not that. Okay, so one thing I do want to say is that we're all waiting for Jupiter to get to Pluto, and that will be a while yet. But wherever we had the heavyweights, this is going to start to give you answers to how that's going to work out for you. So Sagittarius rising, again, we're moving further around. We still have our toe tipped into this second quadrant. Now, what you need to be concerned about is you've got Mars in the first house, meaning this is how other people see you. You could be starting to look a little bit aggressive to other people, so stand back, take a look, and when you're talking to people, if they sort of start to move out of the way, when you start to talk to them, then pay attention and maybe rein it in just a hair. Uranus is in your 6th house of health, so with this square, you could actually have sudden unexpected circumstances to do with your health. And as you can see here, this is Taurus, and it rules the throat, and it rules the thyroid, and so you just have to be careful about that. You have to be cognizant and aware. So that's the issue there. And as I said, here for you in the new moon, you know, it's in a cadent house, and so it's really kind of behind the scenes. It's not that big of a deal. So you're not going to be affected by like some people, but where your focus is going to have to be is on your health. Okay, so Capricorn. Well, you've had the heavies in your sign all year, so you're used to heavies. That being said, the new moon took place in your second house of finances, and you're probably looking to see what's going on financially after all the heavyweights that have affected you. Neptune or Pluto ruled your 10th house of career, conjunct Saturn. There could have been some career changes there. So as I said previously, everybody's waiting for Jupiter to get to Pluto to tell us some new things and give us some spotlight and new direction. And all right, so you have Uranus in your 5th house. The 5th house rules children, it rules recreation, it rules hobbies. So the sun is squared Uranus, and Uranus rules your 2nd house of finances. Okay, so what we got here when you have a look at it is you made a financial plan. Well, you made a financial plan, all right, but with Uranus squared your sun, this plan might not turn out just the way you want it to. And that relates to absolutely everybody that I've talked to. Their plans are not necessarily going to turn out exactly the way they think they are. So flexibility is the name of the game here. So Aquarius rising. Okay, what do you got? You just about got all the planets on this hemisphere. Okay? So what we've got here is Aquarius rising. Well, that's where the new moon was. So that's going to affect that person, you specifically. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect the way other people see you. And so when you get this square, you may find that people just actually don't actually, well, you don't get the greatest reception, or they don't take you the way you mean. And again, you have to be very adaptable. And Uranus is in your 4th house of the home. And actually, that means that your home environment, it could be a little bit difficult. That conversations and communication in the home could be, like I said, could be very difficult. And Aquarius really likes Taurus, a stable, secure home environment. And like I said, it's nothing like that. So those are the areas that are important to Aquarius. Pisces, okay. Now what we got is all of the planets are on this half as opposed to the other half. Okay, so this means that you're more aggressive. On this side, you actually wait for things to come to you. And here on this side, you like to push. You like to make things happen. Now, the thing is that for Pisces, the new moon was in the 12th house. So it's almost a secret. You're not really talking much. You're not really affected much. It's really almost a non-issue for you. So there was 3 signs where it was like that. Now, what we got is Uranus in the 3rd house of brothers and sisters. You may find that a little bit frustrating from time to time. You may decide to actually, this also rules brothers and sisters, your neighborhood, short distance trips, courses, small courses. And you may, the sun squared actually pushes you. It's not totally negative, but it's tension. So you actually are getting pushed to do something, to make up your mind, and you may have to do that. And so, like I said, I'm just coming back to this picture again that shows you that the most important thing about this month is the fact that half of your perception is missing. So what I would like to say is, this is what we do. We need to communicate. And so if you want to talk about any of this stuff, or if you need to get any work done, we can communicate over the internet or by phone. And what you need to perceive and what you need to think about and look at is, how will this information affect me? Okay, so go back, look at the video again, go through it, and see where you needed to make your plan, see how your plan is progressing. And remember, these plans are affected by Uranus. So the plans are not going to go in a straight line just like you thought they were. So what I would like to say is, if you like this information, tell your friends, hit the like and subscribe button, and comment below. What did you get out of this? What am I going to do? How will this affect me? What plans will I make? What's important to me about this? And I have to say thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed this content.